Hey, everybody. We are live today for day 3 of the Hormone Challenge Week. I'm Maggie Yu MD, and we have a very special guest today. Today, we're going to be talking about the role of, guess what? Movement in hormone balancing. And just you wait. Hey, everybody. Welcome to day 3 of our Hormone Challenge Week. And I have a very special guest here today. We have Sue Hitzmann.
Hello.
Founder of Mount Method. Sue, I would love to introduce you to our audience.
Hi, everybody. I'm so happy to be here. By the way, Maggie, I love the last 2 days. I've been following along, typing away in the chats, seeing all of these inspiring people share their stories about how your programs have transformed their lives. I feel like I'm in great company. So thanks so much for having me.
Well, Sue, just to everybody who's jumping in right now, this is day 3 of the Hormone Challenge Week. Just so you guys know, day 1, we had a introduction and kickoff that was on Monday. By the way, if you've missed any of these videos, in our Facebook group, there's a guide that has every single one of these videos in there. On YouTube, we have a playlist. So if you've missed anything, on day 1, we went over an introduction and of how Hormone Challenge Week works, and every single day until Tuesday. We're going to be going live sometime in the afternoon, and we always announce the events a day or two before, just so you know. Number 2, and then there are ways to win. There's trainings involved, and there's a whole guide involved when you register to join the Hormone Challenge Week. It is not too late to join your Hormone Challenge Week. If you want to join it, we're going to put a link here in chat. Click and register it to join the Hormone Challenge Week, because then you'll get notified every time we're live. And there's also really valuable trainings and information in there. So day 1, we went into the introduction. I answered some questions about the role of thyroid in hormone balancing. I also went into the role of omega-3s in the role of hormone balancing. Day 2, yesterday, we had a live panel of people who've successfully been able to turn around their hormones and their health, including Tyler, who did the program 5 years ago, who was able to turn around his Crohn's and his severe adrenal and testosterone hormone production issues.
So inspiring.
I know.
Bored by those stories. It was incredible. I mean, really, it's amazing. And when you can transform your health by way of just changing your thinking, your diet, using supplementation, it just really does make sense. And movement. Now, of course, that's what we're going to talk about.
Yep, I can't wait. And I just want to, before we jump in, I'm going to let you guys know that towards a little bit later, we're going to talk about how you guys are going to be qualifying to win for the drawing that we're having tomorrow night on Thursday. Our live tomorrow is going to be 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time tomorrow. And I'm going over specifically how do you test for hormones? Huge. But to qualify for that drawing, we're going to post a link right now for you to go to our YouTube channel to actually to our YouTube channel some time, to make sure you give that video a thumbs up, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and put anything in the comment section that you want us to shout out. There's a bunch of people who already entered into Thursday's drawing. Later on in the call, later on in this training tonight, we're going to go into some of the shout outs from YouTube thus far. But now, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about, Sue, you and I'm so grateful that you're part of my tribe and that our paths have crossed.
I know, it's always luck of the draw, but I feel like we find one another because that's what we're here to do, right?
And I've struggled with chronic pain, severe hormone imbalances. And one of your MELT instructors about 5 years ago did our Transform program. And she introduced me to MELT Method. And I remember getting that roller right there, the soft roller, round roller right there, and doing my very first neck release sequence. And it was about 10 minutes, Sue. And immediately I felt more relief of my TMJ and headache than I had 10 years prior.
Yeah, I think it's sometimes shocking to me still to realize that people are so surprised at the body's healing power. But if you know how to help these aspects of your body that are not addressed through diet and exercise, and you begin to tap into them, you can really transform how you feel in a very short period of time. And the neck decompression, that was actually one of the very first techniques I developed. And I know how powerful that one is. So I'm glad that helped you.
Well, and there was one, and the order with which your sequences are built are designed to create the hydration, the flow, the hydration, but also the release. And there's also assess and reassess. So a lot of people don't really realize that number one, order really matters.
Yeah. What you do, I mean, but of course it does, right? You know, if you're going to spell something, it's good when the order of the letters are right, so people know what it says, right?
Yeah.
So decoding the body and understanding how to address this accumulative stress that lives in our body by way of movement, by way of gentle touch and compression, and just simply building awareness. That's what the methodology does. And I can see why it's such a compliment to what you're doing.
We have already in the comment section, by the way, people commenting, and I want you guys to jump in on the comments. By the way, every single question you pose to Sue or I during this live is going to be entered into Thursday's drawing, which is going to be for our entire hormone starter kit bundle. Supplement wise, we have a hormone balance starter kit. If you're interested in downloading that guide and seeing what the list of those supplements are that I do recommend, go ahead and we'll put that link in chat. But any question here and comment is already entered in that drawing happening tomorrow on Thursday. We have a melter here, by the way, in the audience already. Oh my gosh, so many comments. Tully, who says, I'm a melter, and she's already in here. Love it.
Amanda, she's such a great teacher. She's the one that helped you discover melt and told you about the method. So.
Well, that was the thing I was going to say was about 5 years ago, Amanda had one of your melt instructors was part of my program. And at that point, we did not have movement incorporated into any of our programs.
Yeah, which is just crazy, because how can you get better until you start to move your body also? You cannot just sit there and suffer and lie on a couch. You need to get up and move. That is part of living, is movement. So movement is so integral in circulation, blood flow, breath, connection. It's so essential. So essential.
Well, and I, as a medical doctor, had zero training in the role of movement and how important it was in healing anything. The amount of training I had was like
in so many things you have to be an expert in to go through medical school. So you know what, when doctors say things like this, here's Maggie saying it, like, I don't really know all that much about movement. Like most doctors don't know much about nutrition. And what we've learned in this last couple of days is like zero about hormones. They don't know about my reproductive. So like, there's so many problems in our medical practice. And so I feel like it's our duty to learn as many things as we can to live a healthy, active life, and to not be taking pharmaceuticals and feeling depression and sitting on a couch and not knowing what to do. So I'm so grateful for the stuff you're putting out there. I think it's amazing.
Well, thank you. But here's the thing. Kudos to Sue. And I'm so excited to share her with our audience here, is that what I found was once we started adding melt as movement into our program for everyone, in our Transform program, their results got faster and better and bigger. And this is in hormone balancing.
Yes.
Hormone balancing. So I never expected that adding movement to our program, people are going to get better pain relief faster, right? That's what I expected. What I didn't expect was how it transformed people's hormones. People were able to clear their hormone imbalances faster.
Well, we talked about that in our conversations when we have some of our conversations on YouTube. I'm sure people can check that out. You can kind of go to Melt Method under YouTube. Maybe you'll find us. But what you're talking about with how to transform, right? I mean, isn't that really what everybody wants to know, how to transform?
Well, yes. But the thing is, I never thought movement was going to be a how.
Has to be a how. So yes, exactly. It has to be a how.
And so what I saw, and I'm going to tell you guys this, was that one of the huge parts in my Hormone Masterclass, our year-long hormone balancing program, or Transform, was we retest hormones, right? Mm-hmm. And what happened was when we added the movement, we saw people's, for example, when they have really high hormone, I'm going to share my results. I have severe estrogen dominance. And what I used to have low everything and no hormones, but once I figured out it was autoimmune related, learned to balance my hormones, I started making hormones, and it revealed that I was actually estrogen dominant. Mm-hmm. It was really difficult to lower my own estrogen dominance. And I got to a certain point, and it was a lot better, but it wasn't completely balanced. And then what happened was I started doing, believe it or not, I started adding, did rebalance every night. And Sue, I got introduced to the pelvic floor sequence.
Yeah. So important. So important.
And then my hormones shifted.
Yeah.
Finally, really, that was what was needed to move it. So this is why Mount Method is included in my hormone master class because I want people to experience the collection we've created together, which is the hormone balancing sequence.
Right. And that's it. So we actually, what Maggie and I did was we created this collection of melt techniques that were in a series to basically introduce you guys to simple approaches to both help sleep and boost your body's natural metabolism and things like this, to actually doing techniques like the compression techniques to help stimulate aspects of your body that relate to hormones, right? Your pelvis has to move properly because of its connection to things like your adrenal glands and your kidneys. This system of being able to move our pelvis properly actually does stimulate those structures by subtle body movement. Mm-hmm. And I think what's amazing is that you are seeing better changes. And I think the question is, can these people sustain it longer because they're going to learn how to melt? Does everybody want to know what melt is? Do they know what melt is?
Can you tell us what melt is, please?
So bad.
The queen of melt, please.
What is melt? It's a simple self-care method, and it essentially teaches you how to become your own body worker, to assess your body for accumulative stress living in a system of your body that supports, protects, and stabilizes you. It's called your fascia. And fascia is usually talked about as a tissue. It's the tissue that keeps your muscles balanced. It gives you joint shock absorption, right? This macro structure is the stability system of your body. But on a microscopic level, fascia is inherently linked to every cell, blood vessel, and nerve in your body. So it's the system, scientifically on a microscopic level, we call it the extracellular matrix. And this is the fluid-like system that stabilizes everything. It stabilizes how your cells communicate, how your nervous system communicates, how your endocrine system, your hormonal systems communicate. Fascia is not just a tissue that stabilizes things. It truly is a system of connection, and its ability to connect these things is what helps keep you stable. And what recent science is revealing is daily living causes this system to not function as efficiently as it could. It gives you all sorts of symptoms, everything from wrinkles and cellulite to joint pain, sleep issues, digestive problems, hormonal issues, right? It's inherently linked. So if you learn how to assess your body for this accumulative stress in the system, and then we teach you how to treat it with really soft tools like this, right? Everybody's seen a foam roller. This is a soft foam roller. Soft tissues, yes, exactly. Soft tissues need soft tools to begin to adapt this fluid aspects of fascia to help to support these deeper structures in your body. So in the collection that Maggie and I did, we teach you how to use that little ball that Maggie has and learn how to treat your hands and feet. We don't realize how important our hands and feet are to the way that our nervous system operates. And when our autonomic nervous system is not working well, we have Crohn's disease, digestive problems, Hashimoto's, we have all these things. Fascia is playing a link, and your hands and feet are definitely a gateway into learning how to tap into this system. So we did that, the rebalance sequence, which Maggie talked about, and then some compression and tension techniques to get into the R's of melt. And I also teach you guys how to decompress your neck and low back and activate that core system that helps your nervous system find your center of gravity, which will help you with pelvic control overall.
Well, I love that. And so, and I'm going to simplify it. So for you guys who aren't the experienced melters that are in the live right now, there's so many experienced melters here and melt instructors are in the live. Thank you for joining us. Tell us who you are if you're here. But already people are jumping in. But what I was going to say was that, totally lost my point. I think what I was going to say was what I love about it is that it helps in so many multiple levels. You make my job really easy. So example, Athena here was just talking about how Athena, I had a mastermind call in our program with her today, going over her food mapping results, which is how food relates to a lot of other issues going on with her. But the thing is that Melt is already helping her out. She's just stated in the comments how much she loved the sequences, how much is already helping out. She shared in our mastermind call today how I think it was like her 4th time of doing something in Melt, and she's already noticing a big difference. It's
Yeah.
results, right?
And I think the thing everybody should know about Melt is that it's not an exercise program. When we're talking about movement, before you go out for runs or bike rides or things like that type of movement, tapping into your body and sensing these subtle aspects of stability, it will really help you out with everything else you do. And for those of you guys who were talking about chronic fatigue, the fibromyalgia, I heard a lot of people with these things.
Yep.
It's doing things that are subtle, and doing less more often is better than doing big, long treatments. So actually, most of the treatments that Maggie and I did were like, some of them were very short, but there are smaller ones. If you go to YouTube, go to the Melt Method YouTube page, subscribe to it, and you will see hand treatments and foot treatments and all sorts of other techniques there as well.
I did my first neck treatment off of your YouTube video.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There's more to it. And the nice thing about coming into the program when we did the series is that I'm really teaching you kind of from the beginning on out. So you get a condensed version of Melt specific to these types of issues.
Well, so this is the Melt Method hormone balancing sequence that Sue and I just created that launched last month.
Yes.
So I'm actually going to put a link in chat. If anybody's interested in learning more about the sequence, there's a link to go to a page where you can check that out and learn more about it. But you're right. But what I liked about it, Sue, was I think is it the first time in Melt Method on Melt on Demand where we actually had an informative training before each of these videos.
It's something that I have been dreaming to do, is to create collections with innovative minds that are really thinking out of the traditional confines of whatever their practice is. And Maggie was perfect, right? So we created a specific collection. It's the first time that I've ever done this, where I'm collaborating with somebody to actually make a collection that's not just Melt. There are conversations Maggie and I had. There's some tips and some videos from Dr. Maggie. So it is literally a program in and of itself that will help you guys with this program that you guys are doing with Dr. Maggie. Melt is just a nice supplement into this, and I'm giving you just enough that it's going to really give you a foundation to utilize this and to help you with a lot of these things you guys talk about. So somebody's asking about, can it help with painful burning neuropathy? It can.
Yes, I did it for me.
Yeah, it can. And your ability to learn the techniques and use it properly, it is transformative. Learning how to tap into your body is profound.
Well, but you know what it is they don't realize this is the medical aspect of why Melt helps with neuropathy. And I can tell people that because a lot of why these nerves hurt, believe it or not, is the dehydration of the fascia around it and lack of blood flow to it and away from it to actually hydrate and then take out the toxins and inflammation.
Yeah, because once you have neuropathy, you're talking about damaging the small nerve endings from these larger branches that come out of your spine and get smaller and smaller as we go, right? Mm-hmm. So if we can stimulate the tissue, sometimes that tissue literally does, in a sense, I'm using a word here, kind of chokes those sensory nerves and it really damages them. So if we can hydrate the tissue, we can help new neural pathways develop so that we can get more mobility, but also decrease the pain sensitivity that you have in your hands and feet.
It worked for me. I had severe neuropathy, both my hands, guys. And also my chronic TMJ turned out to be neuropathy, something we call occipital neuralgia. And Melt Method was huge in my recovery from both of those conditions. We got Terry Harris here with a question. Terry's asking, this sounds really hopeful. How does it work with cervical fusion and preventing further fusions? Thank you. And someone had mentioned that about low back pain and sciatica as well.
Yeah, so once you have a fusion of your spine, right, you've adapted a very central system of your body. Melt will not change anything in your cervical spine. You have it fused, but what you'll learn to do is treat your feet, do the rebalance sequence, and decrease all of the, let's call it, stiffening of fascial tissue around when you have a surgery. Think of it like a scar, only not at the local area, but the tissue adapts as it becomes more stiff. It can also become thick. So that will cause issues down your arms. You might notice that your posture changes. So melt can help to keep your body more stable so that you can move more efficiently, so that your body doesn't compensate and cause more of that stiffness that will ultimately lead to other problems in your body. Once you get a cervical surgery, by the way, your lumbar spine is going to adapt unless you help to keep the rest of your body stable. Does that make sense how I just said that? It's kind of like replacement and 5 years later getting your opposite knee replaced because your gait pattern changed when you had a hip replacement and you didn't recreate stability.
Well, I'll tell you, I have 2 neck fusions myself. So preaching to the choir right here, I had 2 neck fusions here, and it would happen as a result of a motor vehicle accident. Nobody taught me what movement I need, what movement form of treatment in terms of movement I needed to do for sustained pain relief. And of course, the pain came back over time, and it got worse and worse. And doing melt, really, what I realized was the fusion already immobilizes that area, right? It fixes that area.
Yes.
And then, you're hypermobilizing the above and below it.
Well, but that's it, is your nervous system now has to adapt, because what used to be this, when your neck was hurting you before you had your surgery, you were already compensating. And then you have a surgery, which now is going to alter what we call neurological efficiency, the way that your nervous system is creating sensory motor information. It's bringing information through. This is out of your conscious control, guys, right? Your body is adapting to the tissues and the surrounding environment. If muscles are not in a stable environment, they tend to lock, they tend to adapt, right? Some muscles get locked short, they get inhibited neurologically. Certain muscle fibers won't activate when neural signaling comes to them. It's kind of like motor amnesia, like your body forgets how to move your head after you have a surgical procedure. So the important thing is to try to get as much of the natural movements of your body back on track, because as we go down these side streets, instead of being on a highway with our neural information, we might get where we want to go, but the way that our bodies adapt, again, it causes more and more problems in the body.
Well, it did, because if the areas above my fusion went hypermobile. Exactly. And so that's like C1, C2, top 2 vertebrae. And then that irritated the nerve that came out of it, called the occipital nerve, thus causing chronic TMJ pain for 2 years on the side of my head. But really, it was from the fusion, lack of mobility, compensation of the levels higher up. But that's where movement can really break that pattern. Movement, hydration, loosening up that area on a regular basis, right? Now, let's talk accommodation. Pam Steiner here, so she's an alumni from Pennsylvania, melt ballers and rollers. She's saying that it feels like she does have so many tender areas all over that she even finds the melt and the roller to be very painful to use. Now, so here's the other thing too, is I really think it's very important for people to be using the melt method rollers.
Yes, controller. But here's the thing about doing so there's 4 R's of melt: reconnect, rebalance, rehydrate, release. The rehydrate techniques there's 2 types that you can do: compression or tension techniques. The compression techniques are called gliding, shearing, and rinsing. This is what Pam's talking about. And Pam's saying, hey, it's not the RA, but I find areas of my body tender. I find that the roller is quite painful. But remember, the roller is an inanimate object. The roller can't hurt you. The goal of learning how to melt is learning how to find tolerable compression and learn how to control your pressure on the roller. And that takes practice, right? So it's not like foam rolling where you just iron yourself like a shirt. There's a real specificity to how to adapt the compression techniques. And in the session that Dr. Maggie and I did in this hormone collection, I am in fact speaking to people just like our friend Pam with RA, because the inner thigh gliding and shearing is of the utmost importance that you do learn how to perform it, and it will literally transform the way that you function. But Pam, you say that your roller is very firm, and I mean, are you using a melt roller? Because our rollers are very they're made of rubber. They're kind of like a softer, and they actually have a texture to them. Sometimes people will use a hard roller, and I have to tell you, it's kind of like, of course you could nail a hammer into a wall with a spatula, but it's kind of the wrong tool to do what it is we're trying to do in melt. We're not trying to foam roll and melt. We're trying to rehydrate connective tissue to help fluid flow move more efficiently throughout the system.
So Sue just mentioned the inner thigh, right? And some of the shearing. And I love that when I was in Red Mountain with you, you talked about Melt Movie Night, where you literally lay down, you and the roller, and you're doing the inner thigh shear. I have taken this to heart, and there is zero pressure when I do inner thigh shear. And people don't realize what shearing really is. It doesn't, you don't have to have a lot of body weight or except for the weight of the thigh on the roller, and you're gliding, shearing and gliding right across the top.
Yeah. So just so that, and everybody can try this, if you take your own hand and you rub it on your forearm, that's called gliding. If something's going over the surface of your skin, you're gliding, you're preparing, you're exploring your tissue. If you pin the skin and you drag it on the underlying substances, can you see? Yeah, exactly. You could twist it. If you grab onto your own skin and sort of twist, right? I'm not rubbing my hand against my forearm right now, right? I'm pinning the skin and I'm shearing it against the underlying substances. You could also squeeze your forearm and then wiggle your fingers or make fists, and you feel the contraction that happens if you push, not pull, push down, yeah, and wiggle. And so if you feel that compression and that contraction, that's also a shear effect. So anytime you compress tissue and you run against the grain, it's kind of like working fluid into a sponge, and then you just sort of squeeze it out so that when you let it go, you get a fill effect.
So, Sue, I know you have to go in about 4 minutes, so I want to make sure I get this other question in, and I will be here for more questions after she's gone, just so you guys know. So, is melt safe even for those with hypermobility issue? I love this question because I'm hypermobile, and I know the answer, but I want to hear it from you.
Yeah, so it doesn't really matter what side of the spectrum you're on. If you're Ehlers-Danlos, or you have, something like, Marfan syndrome and all these hypermobility, or scleroderma, and you have a collagen issue in the tissue. The thing about the stiff to elastic properties of fascia is with melt, because you are going in with a more controlled compression technique. You're not trying to change the musculature. You're not working hard to adapt muscle tone. You're just working on gentle compression. So as all of the things, if you have Ehlers, it's not going to bring you into a place where you increase flexibility. When you treat fascia in this unique way, it doesn't matter what side of the spectrum you're on, you go back to a better midline for yourself, right? So if you have Ehlers, your body is functioning a little inefficiently. We're trying to bring the efficiency back into your body. So for people with Ehlers-Danlos, most often what we do is we teach them the hand and foot treatment and the rebalance sequence, which is just what I did with Dr. Maggie in the first session. And then you learn how to apply tolerable compression, which is tricky with people with Ehlers, because if you have severe hypermobility, if you're one of those people where your joints get disjointed, there's specific moves that you'd want to do. And again, I really selected just the right ones for you guys to be able to learn how to properly compress on your body and not cause issues, especially if you have mixed connective tissue disorders.
I actually think people with I have mixed connective tissue disorder. I'm on the Ehlers-Danlos spectrum and hypermobile myself. We need this even more.
Yes, you do. You really do, because there's not much out there for Ehlers or for mixed connective tissue issues that's actually focused on improving the supportive qualities of your connective tissue. That's what MELT is all about. MELT also has a strength aspect. It's called neurostrength. And I did, in fact, in our session with Maggie, I gave you guys some of those strength techniques. Now, they're not like exercises, right? So that you only do 4 repetitions of these very subtle body movements, and they are there to help you guys improve the supportive qualities of this myofascial layer of fascia, whereas MELT is really treating the whole system. Neurostrength goes into the nitty gritty of the myofascial tissues and the supportive qualities of your joints. So as you guys learn how to go through this program that Maggie and I created for you, I'm bringing you through week by week ways to improve your results by adding these layers of reconnect, rebalance, rehydrate, release, and then getting into this neurological reintegration. When you have Ehlers, when you have a mixed connective tissue issue, your joints are hypermobile, and your nervous system needs to know where those joints are to move you guys efficiently. So if you learn how to stabilize the joints, it's like a GPS system. You help to heighten that GPS signaling to the joints. You'll move more efficiently. You'll see as you guys start to practice the program. I'm telling you, you're going to love it.
So, Sue, I know you have to go.
Yes, I have to go. I have friends in town, and
Thank you.
I have a former commitment. But I hope everybody watches that video that we did together. And again, I'm just so privileged to be a part of the program. I hope you guys really love Melt. And I am also part of your Facebook page. I'm on Maggie's Facebook page. So if you have questions, maybe I'll see them over there if you're asking about Melt, and we'll try to help you out. And of course, check out Melt Method. I'm on social media all the time, and I look forward to continuing this conversation and rocking out.
If anyone in the audience can thank Sue for coming on, I'm going to continue to answer questions. I'm not leaving. All right, everybody. Thank you, Sue.
Bye, guys.
So just a reminder, everybody. So if you're interested in learning more about Melt Method, we have a link to a page, and it links directly to it describes what the hormone balancing collection is. That's part of Melt on Demand. There's, even for those of you who haven't done Melt on Demand before or joined Melt, there's a free 30-day gift trial that Melt on Demand has given us with this link. If you want to click the link and go check it out, you can go check out the collection. It's part of Melt on Demand, and it's called the Hormone Balancing Sequence. Okay. Now, I see a lot more questions here, and I'm here to keep answering it. But before we do that, I want to tell you guys how you can qualify, what's up to on the sequence for Hormone Challenge Week. Okay. Thank you so much of you for joining. Can you guys already if you already have additional questions around movement or Hormone Challenge Week, you can go ahead and put it in chat right now. I want to tell you guys what's coming up on Thursday night. I'm going to be answering questions about how to check your hormones. Any questions about how to balance your hormones from a medical standpoint, we're going to be answering that on Thursday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Join that. We're going to have a live drawing. How do you qualify for it? Right now, everybody, couple things. We're going to put a link down for our YouTube video that's live of this video right now. When you get a chance, head over to YouTube, give this video a thumbs up. This is how you qualify for the drawing on Thursday. You got to do all three of these things. Number one, give this video a thumbs up. Number two, subscribe to the channel. And then number three, comment something in the comment section that you want me to shout out. Just some shout outs already. People who've entered for Thursday is Erica Kiesling, says such great information relating to many. She's relating to many from yesterday's live on the panel. Kasi Shogren says gets to the point, wealth of useful information. Teresa Pulling says so grateful you're sharing this info. Aisha Green says gotta get my breakfast in right when I wake up. I love it. Listening to the tips from our panel yesterday. Deb Lashbrook says can't wait to learn more. Love it so far. Vanessa Ryle says, really amazing info, and not just with women. Tell all their men in your lives to join this hormone challenge and subscribe to this channel and this challenge. Love that. Holly Haney says, thanks to my cousin Jennifer Palmer, who's an alumni in our program, for letting me know about Dr. Maggie. Stacy Roller has a shout out for her daughter. Shout out to my daughter who's competing in dance this weekend and taking her Love Her with her. So we learned about supplementation, actually, on a little bit about supplementation on our live yesterday. If you guys want me to go more into supplementation, let me know in the comment section, and I will dedicate a live where I can answer some Q&As about supplementation around hormone balance if you're interested in that. But if you do want a complete list of some of the starters, some of the supplements that I recommend for anyone with any type of hormone imbalance, that's our Hormone Balance Starter Kit. We're going to put a link here for you to get that download, but it was emailed to everyone who registered for the challenge yesterday, just so you know. All right, everybody, let's go into some questions. All right. We've got a question. Someone said, in order to start, do I need to order the balls, rollers, etc.? No, you do not. We actually tell people that in the program is while they're waiting for their order to come in or whatever, these tools are really great. And I swear by them. I use them. I own them. I own the whole roller, the half roller, and the travel roller, and I own all the balls, right? I think they're critical. Okay. So these are the tools. However, you can absolutely go and enjoy and utilize the sequence by rolling up 2 towels in a roll and getting a tennis ball. And that's a great way to get yourself started on the sequences to even test it out. I mean, and just letting you know is you can already feel the benefits and the results, and that might motivate you to get the tools once you learn more about it. But you can absolutely start with a rolled up towel and a tennis ball to get yourself started. I need to, someone said, Athena says, I need to try the next sequence next. This is interesting. This says, Stacy, I've had migraines for 2 weeks on and off. I recently changed to progestin, all these hormone changes, right? And she's relating it with jaw pain. My pain is severe behind my eyebrows and in a joint where my jaw and ears meet down here. I've massaged the jaw. Could this help me? So guess what, Stacy? There's actually a, she has they call it the 5-minute facelift. That was, I think, what show was it on? She was on a live show. Was it Oprah? Was it? It was Dr. Oz. She actually did the 5-minute face sequence, and I think it's actually really wonderful. Check out when you go on Melt Demand, on demand, and you can get even a small ball like this. If you have it, this is a tennis ball, right? But I love using this particular, the ball I use for the face sequence is this one. So I use this one for the face sequence and this one as well. So these are the ones I use, but there's a 5-minute facelift that she did on Dr. Oz. You can even find on YouTube if you want to check that out. But really helpful in that particular sequence is because there's actually a lot of fascia and in our face and inflammation in our face that then goes to the neck and the jaw. And so you don't necessarily say, oh, here's the problem area. What am I going to do just to roll it out on the TMJ, let's say, or this particular spot? Well, what's going to this spot is actually, there's a lot of channels, lymph and fascia that's heading in that direction. So it's important to actually work the sequence. Like, let's say you look at TMJ, that might be a specific sequence for TMJ. And you may not realize, for example, that it's not just that area is the victim, but maybe it's coming actually from your pelvic floor. I know from my TMJ, it wasn't just from the neck and the hypermobility of that. I had problems in my pelvic floor. And when I did both was when I really started to see a lot of release in my TMJ or face or jaw pain. So that's just personal experience. Again, I am not Sue, but that is me sharing my own experience. And I've worked with chronic pain with thousands of people in our programs about how to resolve their pain issues. So that's adding my 2 cents into this. Okay. Let's take a look. And Jay, if you get a chance and you see a good question, if you could put it up on screen, it prevents me from having to search for it like this. Whoa, I like this. Jennifer, Angie Hunt says, after less than 10 hand treatments, my hands are a T instead of a Y. Yes. So this is a great question in a sense where people with rheumatoid arthritis nodules, right? Or where you have like literally your fingers are like this, or even just a little bit pointing in that direction. Can you remodel deformed fingers or toes that you think are permanent using Melt Method? And the answer is yes. Here, right there, Angie Hunt's telling you 10 treatments, 10 times. These and the hand sequence you can do in 10 minutes. Her hand shape is already starting to change. That's incredible, right? I don't know what the letters are, but I can tell you that I've worked with a lot of clients with rheumatoid arthritis, hand changes, toe changes too, even hammer toes. Like people with hammer toes, can you decrease the size of hammer toes, bunions, by working with Melt? And the answer is yes, yes, and hell yes, because I've seen it happen hundreds of times before. And then let's see, next question. This sounds so hopeful. Terry Harris says, how does it work with fusions? And we already went through that question. Merritt says, love Melt, another alumni from our program. Great. And then Irene is another alumni of ours from Norway. Just so you know, you can be anywhere in the world to do My Hormone Masterclass or for our Transform program. Just so you know, Irene from Norway. Love it. Melt is doing wonders on my body. Thank you so much. Regina says, so cool to see you together. Oh, sorry, I just missed that last question. Who is that question? Can Melt help recover from abdominal surgery and adhesions? I love this. And Amanda, somebody else was asking, can we talk about C-section scars? So if you think about any surgery that you have, we just talked about like bone or joint surgery, right? But what about where any surgery where someone cuts through your fascia? So whether it's breast implant, right? Breast explant, abdominal surgery, C-section. What happens is any surgeon that is cutting through you to get to a deeper layer is going to cut through fascia. And you can think of fascia, when fascia is healthy, is like a fine mesh of a spider web, really fine, silky spider web all over your body. And it's hydrating. It can transport fluids. It can there's blood vessels and nerves through this network of fine silky web, right? But what happens is when you cut through it, right? Or when you cut through that, what happens is your body will try to heal it. And what happens is when you break through that fine meshwork and then you try to heal it, scarring and disruption of that area happens. So then your body, your fibroblasts, fibroclasts, these cells go in there, and it, in its attempt to heal, will create scar tissue in that area. So in that area, whether you're cutting through muscle, fascia, skin, it's going to form scarring, and that can be really disruptive to this network of fascia. But what is the problem there is that you're disrupting actually the flow of fluid towards it and away from it. So is there a physical modality with which you can actually help increase the hydration, increase also not just the hydration, but some pro-inflammatory factors, cells to come in here to say, like, when you bring in the hydration, when you bring in the blood flow with movement, these are the exact cells that can break down scar and remodel. Okay. So absolutely, you can actually help scars diminish, remodel by using melt method, which is a physical method of movement around the scar tissue that hydrates, causes anti-inflammatory effects, rehydrates, to rinse and remove that fluid away from that area. So to me, it's one of the most effective ways of actually dealing with remodeling scar tissue. So absolutely, it's really helpful. I've seen it in my own scar. I have scar tissue also as well. And I have had to use the rib sequence to really help with some of the scar tissue in that area. Super helpful, just so you know. And it actually pains me, just so you guys know. How many of you guys have had surgery? Let me know in the chat, where, surgeons know how to cut and they know how to sew the wound together, but there isn't any understanding for them as to what happens with the post-surgical scarring. And how many of you guys have had pain as a result of post-surgical scarring that had nothing to do with the original surgery, right? And the actual scarring itself presents a neuropathy in that area, tightening, scarring in that area that can actually pull on other areas of your body, causing chronic pain, right? So this is why, to me, one of my own things is I just broke my foot and had foot surgery. But as soon as I got on my cast for foot surgery, I was doing the melt foot sequence. And it was funny because my toes were exposed and I was already doing the melt foot sequence with my toes to the degree that I could, even in my scar, because I knew it was critical for me to recover from my foot surgery, to be hydrating that scar, to actually even prevent that scar from going nutso in the first place, but also any scar that was forming. I was constantly softening, hydrating, and breaking it down the whole time so that I healed super fast from my foot surgery. And even when my surgeon saw me, he wanted me to hold off on any sort of physical therapy or movement for, like, I don't know, 30 days after I was out of my cast. But when he actually saw me, he's like, man, this is the best healing I've ever seen. Good job doing what I told you to do. And I was like, dude, I didn't do what you told me to do. I actually started movement with melt, with specifically this ball, right around that whole area. And it was really helpful in any post-surgery recovery, no matter what the surgery is, just so you guys know. Okay. Glad that was helpful. Where do I get the tools to use for melt? Will melt help with chronic leg swelling? It's super helpful for chronic swelling. Specifically, the pelvic floor sequences, the foot sequence is super helpful. My foot and leg was totally swollen post-surgical, right, Jenny? So really helpful. So we have a link to melt. So you can go check out our link to melt. When you click on that link, you can check out the melt on demand. Melt does have the rollers and the balls. These balls particularly are super helpful with the foot sequence for foot swelling, just so you know. And then utilizing that roller, Sue had mentioned the inner thigh, some of the thigh shear sequences, the calf shearing sequences, really helpful for foot and calf swelling. And this is experience from those people who've gone through my programs, FYI. Great. All right. So every comment here has been entered into our drawing for Thursday. So keep those comments and questions coming. And then if you guys can hop over to the YouTube channel right now, there's a link that we're going to add right here. Jump over there, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and put any comment and shout out you want. I'm happy to shout it out. I would love to shout it out tomorrow on my live when we have the drawing. Now, about the prize that we're going to be drawing for Thursday, I would love for you guys to write, first of all, in chat, did you learn anything today? Was there one big aha, one big thing that you're committing to based on what you learned today? Type it into chat. And some of you guys saw me post in the Facebook group. I'm committing to orange lipstick every single day of the Hormones Challenge week. It's bold, but at the same time, I think that success in our health and in our life is from a series of either small, medium, or big commitments, micro or big commitments that you make to do something different around your health to get a different outcome, right? And so one of the things I did is just symbolic is me wearing orange lipstick is to show you my little micro commitments. And for somebody, orange lipstick could be a huge commitment, right? But what's one micro or big commitment you're already making? If you could share that in chat, that would be really awesome. Somebody says Terry says all the info about fascia was new to me. Someone just said, I needed to commit more to my melt videos for Melt on Demand. Love it. Christina says, I am amazed that your TMJ was neuropathy. And see, Christina was in group 1 of the Transform program. How many years ago, Christina? 6 years ago? And yeah, and that's the thing is like, for me, it was a journey of everything I'm sharing with you guys. Some of this stuff took me 6 years to figure out and learn. And I'm just telling you, or Sue sharing with you. So when you can condense time, how much time it takes for you to get to that result, that's gold. So what we're doing here is condensing time. So don't wait 5-6 years for me to learn all these lessons to know that melt method was really critical. And that not only working out, not just going and pounding the jar with 10 TMJ specialists, but it was about my neck and the neck surgery and the hypermobility and how it needed to move the right way with Melt on Demand, right, with Melt Method, but also working my pelvis was really critical in releasing my TMJ pain, right? Laura says, oh my God, yeah, it's really interesting to learn how healing Melt Method, how to use Melt Method and works with hormone balance. Huge. And Laura, when you go on Melt on Demand, the hormone balancing sequence, before every one video of that hormone balancing sequence means you're talking about how that sequence helps. Just so you know, one of the sequences is a vagus nerve stimulation sequence designed to help with sleep. And I explain why sleeping and vagal nerve stimulation is critical to hormone balancing, FYI. And someone mentioned it a couple nights ago, which was one of the main times that most hormones are made is while you sleep, and we're disrupting that the whole time, right? Sally says, I'm trying to eat every 3 hours and upping my water consumption. I'm a longtime melt instructor. Oh, I love it, Sally. So I get those techniques in every day and have for the last 12 years. And Sally, let's compress time for you. If you're looking for symptoms that are related with chronic health symptoms or hormone imbalances, you compress time when you're already doing the melt, and then you add everything that you learned from here medically and combine that, you're going to compress time and get to your results faster. Okay, there we go. Alumni focusing on making time to integrate hormone melt sequence in my daily practice, developing my personal kick butt sequence. I love it. I love it. And then Zydrun says, I think I have the same problem about pelvic nerve and pain syndrome. Nobody can explain what's going on. Everything makes sense. Okay, I love everything makes sense. Okay, because I am here to take all my years of as a medical doctor, all the training and practice with that, and combining it with all the smarts I learned as a functional medicine provider, a bioidentical hormone expert, a hormone balancing expert, and a functional medicine doctor. Combining that together along with my own experience over the past 27 plus years to put things together. I love when someone tells me everything makes sense. It has to make logical sense to me. And then I love to make really complicated things and put them together into a really simplified way so it makes sense. Okay? Because when it makes sense to you, then you don't have to memorize. You can actually start to implement because, the reason for this is this logically, and that's why I'm doing this. That makes the how easy. When you learn the root cause, you learn the why. And when you know the why, it's really easy to do the how. Yet a lot of people persist to memorize the how. And I put an end to that, right? I love that. Mandy says, I'm committed to using the tools with my 80-year-old mom to get her mobile and moving and out of bed more often. I love that, Mandy. I will tell you something really interesting about people who are very prone to falls. And this is just a sidebar, everybody, which is that I never thought about it this way, but there's actually a benefit to learn. People think learning martial arts is for self-defense or to like hit or hurt somebody or defend yourself. But I think looking at one of the main benefits I see for people learning to do martial arts is learning how to fall. Learning how to fall. Believe it or not, you fall a lot when you're in martial arts, but learning how to fall is the number one way to prevent injury. So I love that there's method in learning how to hydrate the muscles, deal with prevention, strengthening, right? But also with chronic pain syndromes. But I also love the idea around martial arts with the idea that it's to learn how to fall. And this is my chiropractor, Brian Basinger. He's so wise, but he said this to me. He goes, the number one group of people that needs to learn how to fall never get that training, and it's people in nursing homes. And this brought it up because someone was mentioning their 80-year-old mom. It's great to have something like melt for them to move because they can do it. It can be modified to standing, sitting, right? Laying in bed, you can still do melt. It can be modified in all those ways, right? And the tools are really soft and easy to use, right? And it's melt on demand. It could be brought into a phone to a nursing home or to your mom's house or dad's house to do together, right? So I love those aspects of it. But man, if we could teach people how to fall and not just people in nursing homes, if I knew how to fall, I wouldn't have broken my foot 6 months ago. So it's interesting, the idea around using martial arts training to be one way as to how to take an impact, but the other is learning how to fall. You can actually prevent a lot of injury. And if you could, and how many of you are hurt out there and thought, man, if I could have knew how to fall, I would have prevented that injury in the first place. That's really cool. I love thinking out of the box in that way because someone be like, why the heck would you want to learn how to do martial arts? Because I want to know how to fall. I want to learn how to fall to prevent injury. And I also want to learn how to take a hit without injury. Those are really big reasons why martial arts, I think, is really awesome, not just for your kids, but for you. Food for thought. Can you clarify, is the program she did for you on Melt on Demand? Pam, yes. The program is everything we talked about, every sequence we're talking about is on Melt on Demand. Yes. Yeah, Amanda just said this. Aikido taught me how to fall. And Amanda, if you actually looked at the originator of Aikido, I do not know his name, but there's some really incredible of the founder of Aikido, incredible man. What he really learned when you watch his movements, it's about understanding momentum and the energy of someone and their movement. It is absolutely a sight to behold looking at the creator of Aikido. I'm just letting you know. So these are all about movement, right? So I'm just giving you more bonuses about movement. Is I really think there's a big role for those who are able to in learning martial arts to really think about how to take an impact, how to learn how to fall, and how to control your flow of energy and how to assess the flow of energy of the people even around you. Really interesting stuff. Okay. Kim Field said, great. Looking forward to incorporating Melt, not only to help me, but my disabled husband. Kimberly, 100%, 100%. There we go, everybody. Here is what we're going to do. We're ending this. You guys are all going to jump on the link to YouTube to qualify for the drawing for tomorrow night. Go ahead and like this video. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Comment something in the comment section. I'd love to shout it out. And I'm going to see you guys on tomorrow is Thursday tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow's Thursday, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's going to be a huge live drawing. We're going to be doing that. I'm going to be answering some questions about how do you test your hormones? Okay. Different methods, when, how, what, so many questions around it. So I love all the questions you guys are posting. I'm taking it to heart. I'm attempting to answer as many of them as I can during this Hormones Challenge week. So there you go. And then finally, if you guys want to learn more about my hormone masterclass, which is to work with me on balancing your hormones over the course of a year time frame, where you can test and retest, check out my hormonemasterclass.com. And there's also a link there. I will be answering questions about any of those in some of my later lives as well, if you're interested in learning more about working with me through my Hormone Masterclass. All right, everybody, that's a wrap. Thank you so much for showing up. That was fun, and would love if anybody else is a lover of orange lipstick. I would love for you to post a photo into the Facebook group in solidarity with me to celebrate commitment. What's your commitment to micro commitment to health? If you make a post around that, and you love orange lipstick and you have an orange lipstick, if you can post it, I would love it. I would love it. That's just a personal Dr. Maggie bonus. If you can do that for me, it'd be like, oh, thank you. All right, everybody, that's a wrap.